So please open up the other program, the GUI that I gave you that's called CountVowels, and we're going to go through that one. Again, a lot shorter than the previous one. All right, and if you take a look at it, this is what it looks like. Few things to show you as we get started here. The first thing, that's a text box, that big white thing, but text boxes have a feature that's called multi-line, and I set multi-line to true. All right, so I can put in a bunch of stuff. Second, these things, this is the first time we've seen them, these things right here, those are accumulators. That will tell you how many A's you can put in there, how many E's you can put in there, how many I's you can put in there, how many O's you can put in there, or how many U's you can put in there. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, those are accumulators right there. So if I go in here and I type in a whole bunch of junk, I'm going to type in a whole bunch of junk, and I'm going to click calculate, and the system should go through that junk that I type in and ferret out and put in the number of A's, E's, I's, O's, and U's. I didn't count Y because we were told not to in there. All right? Now, I want to go back to what Christian asked before, and that is, when I click clear, what do I want to have happen? Probably I want to add something new in here, correct? Since I do, I will want to take these counters and zero them out then. All right? And the exit button will be our exit button. All right? So hopefully you don't find any problems with that. And let's go and write the code real quick for the exit button. And we'll write the code for the clear, because then we'll just jump right into the calculate. Like I said, my hope is to be done as close to 10 o'clock as possible. So again, again, hopefully by now there's no questions about what that does. All right. And like I said, if you look on the screen here, if you grab this, copy it to the clipboard, and bring up whatever your editor is. I'll just bring up text Notepad++. Now I've got that in there, and anytime I want to, all right, anytime I want to now, I can just drop it in. All right. So that's that. And the next thing that we want to do is we want to clear our text boxes and clear our accumulators. All right. Now I want to go back. It's not something he said, but I want to say something to you now, and that is this: when we get to Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, I've already mentioned to you, Chapter 7's on methods. We're already writing those. All right. And in Chapter 8, we write more advanced methods. Once we get to that point, and please listen to this. You don't have to look at me, but please listen to this. I don't want code in your click events. I want you to call routines from those events. You understand what I'm saying? It is not considered really good practice to have executable code inside of click events. All right? So at that time, we'll change that around. For now, it's fine. All right? So for our clear routine, well, look at what we want to do. you can already tell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counters we want to clear. That text box we want to clear. And we want to clear our accumulators. So there's 3 things that we want to do. The order in which you do those really doesn't matter. So I'm going to put a comment here that says clear all text boxes. All right, so text box, and I got to see what I call those because I don't remember it all. So that's text box phrase, because I'm going to type in some kind of phrase. Text box total A's, text box total E's, text box total I's, text box total O's, text box total U's. Okay, that's not too terrible. All right, so text box phrase. Dot text equals the empty string. Move this over a bit. All right. Text box total A's dot text equals the empty string. And I'm just going to copy this and make that one change. A-E-I-O-U. All right. So I'm going to change that to E, to I, to O, and to U. All right. Finally, well, I didn't make any accumulators. Okay, so it'd probably be a good idea to make some, because those are the values we're going to stick in there. So please go up to the top of your program, because I forgot. All right, and right underneath here, right up above the button calculate, I'm going to put int total A's equal 0. Int, in fact, I'm just going to copy it. So I've got total A's, total E's, total I's, oops, total, boy oh boy, total O's, and total U's. Okay, so I've got all those right there. And what I want to do, everybody have that? Does it make sense what those are? Those are going to be the values that we put into these things. Okay? All right. So after I've come in here and I've cleared my text boxes, I'm just going to put in a comment that says clear all accumulators. So what I'm telling you is eventually we're going to write 2 routines. We'll write one routine that will clear all of our text boxes, and we'll write another routine that will clear all of our accumulators. All right? So the only thing that's left is the calculate, which, believe it or not, is not long. 20, 30 lines, but we still should be able to finish it up pretty close to 10. My question to you is this. Do you understand what I've done so far? Is there anyone who has any questions on what I've done so far? All right. This routine right here, this clear button right there, that's got that code in it. When the clear button is clicked, it'll clear out that text box, 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 and it'll also take those accumulators that are being used to fill those text boxes and clear those out by setting them to 0. The exit we've already talked about. All right. So right now, the thing is, if I run this, and I can put whatever I want to in this big text box. I can do that. So I can put a whole bunch of stuff in here. You know, it doesn't matter what I put in. And calculate doesn't work, but clear does work. All right. Exit does work. All right. So let's write the code for the calculate button. All right. Now, what I want to do, think about this. What I want to do is 2 things. First of all, I'm going to put all this in there no matter what it is. I'm putting it in there as a huge string. Does that make sense? Everything that goes in there, I'm putting it in as a huge string. But after I got it in there as a huge string, I want to look at it a character at a time. Does that make sense? You can do that with strings. All right? So I'm going to come in here, and the first thing I'm going to put in is string. And I just called it the phrase. You can call it whatever you want. And that's going to be equal to whatever's in that text box. Now, I'm going to change this in a second. All right? Please listen to me. I'm going to change this in a second. Why am I just giving me an error? String the phrase equals text box phrase dot text. Well, let me put in what I'm going to put in anyway and see if that fixes it. Right now, the way it is, I'm going to have to check 10 things. Lower and uppercase A's, lower and uppercase E's, lower and uppercase I's, lower and uppercase O's, lower and uppercase U's. I don't want to do that. I only want to check 5 things. So I'm going to take what I have here, and I'm going to put in dot to upper. Right? Still give me an error. I'm trying to figure out why. String the phrase equals text box phrase dot text. Wow. Wrote this before and I had no errors in it. All right. Did I call that text box phrase? What did I call this? Text box phrase. Should be okay. Let me remove this and try to type it in again. Maybe I don't know. Dot text dot to upper. That always gets me. I just typed it in and it gave me an error. I typed it in again. I might have had parens after this. I don't know. If I did, that would have been what the error was. Right? Again, I'm asking the question, is there anything I've done so far that you don't understand? Now I'm assuming that what you did, if you look on the screen here, is you put a bunch of junk in here. I don't care what it is, but you put a bunch of junk in there. And now I put it into a string. Now what I want to do is I want to count it a character at a time. That's what I want to do. All right? So how do I do that? There's multiple ways, but I'm going to show you the way that I did it. So I did it with a for loop, and I said int LCV for loop control variable. I started it at 0. That's the first character. And while it's less than the length of the phrase. That's going to go through the entire thing, and with the code I'm about to put in, it's going to check it a character at a time. All right? With the code I'm about to put in, it's going to check it a character at a time. Now, for you to understand that, I've got to stop here and write something on the board. All right? I'll write it over to the right, so if you're still keying in code, you can. All right? If I write in this string, I like apples. Let's say that's the string that I put in. Let's say that that's the string that I put in there. All right? So that is what's inside of text phrase. Does that make sense? Or text box phrase. Does that make sense? Okay? Now, what I want to do is I want to look at it. That's a character. That's a character. That is, 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 and that is. Does that make sense? All right. I'm doing it a character at a time because for each character I got to say, are you an A, or an E, or an I, or an O, or a U? And if it is, I've got to increment the appropriate counter. Now the length of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's saying this is character 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 13. Does that make sense? All right? What you have not seen yet in this language, we did talk about arrays a little bit last semester, all right, but what you haven't seen yet is how I have to reference this a character at a time, all right? And I decided, because we haven't really done much yet with a switch statement, I put a switch in here. So this is what's in here, is a switch. And I'm switching on the phrase LCV dot toString. And I'm not assuming anything. I'm not assuming that's going to make a whole boatload of sense to you. All right? But what that says is current character. That's what that means. Current character. Now it's really simple. It may not seem like it, but it is. If it's an uppercase A, what do I want to do? Well, I want to come in and I want to add 1 to my total A's. And I want to get the heck out. Does that make sense? Now I can copy this A-E-I-O-U, so I can have 5 of these. A-E-I-O-U. All right? There's the A's. There's the E's, and make sure you change your counter to E's. There's the I's, and change your counter to I's. There's the O's, and change the counter to O's. And there's the U's, and change the counter to U's. All right? That's going to handle A, E, I, O, and U. What about all the other characters? What do I want to do if I don't have an A or an E or an I or an O or a U? What do I want to do? Somebody tell me. It's a one-word answer. Ignore it, return, nothing, whatever you want to say. So I'm going to put in here default break. Just get out. So we've got this, and I'm going to put the whole thing up here. All right, I'm going to shrink this down quite a bit. But you can now see the A's, the E's, and the I's. Make sure this is case A, total A's, case E, total E's, case I, total I's, case O, total O's, and case U, total U's. All right, you'll get an error if you don't. Or you'll be incrementing the wrong counter, and it'll be wrong. All right. A little smaller. I know that's a little hard. I don't know, John, if that's hard for you to read back there or not, but that's everything. Now there's only one more thing we have to do. All right, we have to take our total I's, or our total A's, and put it into that text box, our total O, or A, E, I, O, and U, and put them in the text boxes. That's all that's left. So once we get done with this, right here, once we get done with this, once I'm out of the switch and once I'm out of the for loop, all right, so right here, right before the end of the function, I want to say text box total A's equals total A's dot toString. All right, type in something wrong. Text box total A's dot text. All right, what's wrong here? Total A's dot toString. Why doesn't it like that? The name total A's does not exist in the current context. Yep, that one does though. You're right. Thank you. So I'm going to take this, put it in there 5 times. E, I, O, and U. Make sure I change these to E, I, O, oh, that's a big I, and U. All right. And that's wrong. That should be that, and that should be a big O. All right. Now give me a second, because what I want to do is I just want to run it. All right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type a bunch of stuff in here. And I'm going to make sure I've got enough of a bunch of everything. All right? So I'm going to come in here. I'll put in some A's, maybe some capital A's, some B's, some C's, or V, I guess those are V's, D's, 1's, E's, some big E's, F, G, H, some little i's, some big I's, all right, a bunch of other characters, okay. How about some O's and some big O's, and how about some U's and some other U's? That doesn't, mean anything, but I want to click calculate and notice my numbers. I'd have to go back and add those, add them myself to make sure they were correct. All right? So if the calculate worked, notice if I do it again. That's not good, is it? Probably every time I click calculate, I should clear first. All right? But then if I clear first, I don't want to clear this. I just want to clear these. So there's ways definitely the program can be improved. So I click clear, boom, everything's gone. Click exit, and that works. All right? So let me go back to the program, because some of you maybe were typing like crazy thinking I tried, but I couldn't keep up with you. Does everybody, I'm going to make this bigger again. Does everybody have these variables? Okay, and again, I'm just going to type in total number of A's or A's inputted, and I'm just going to copy that down. And then that'll be E's. That'll be I's. O's. And U's. Again, is that necessary? I don't think it'll hurt. All right. So this, I'm going to I'll put in a comment there that says loop through text box one character at a time. All right. And then I've got the switch. I'm doing a switch on current character. All right. We've got all that stuff. Copy current accumulator value to associated text box. Again, those aren't great names, but I think they do. They'll do in a pinch at least. My question is, do you understand what we're doing? All right, that's the big thing. All right, and again, let's say that James goes home tonight and says, I'm going to try to do this myself. And he comes in with a totally different algorithm than what I used, but his works. That's not only okay, that's a good thing. All right? When you take your test on Wednesday of next week, your hands-on test, I mean, my hope is that when you do at least, really for both programs, you each do them your own way. I give you a way that I would like the output to look, but you can still take, like I said, your own creative prose with that. All right? Does anybody need any of this stuff moved up or shown on the screen? All right, because that's all that I had. The rest of the period then is yours. All right? And again, I'm going to do my darndest to get everything graded this weekend and back to you. All right?
So we don't anything that goes in for each change in the box.
On the bottom. I don't have a text change. Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, then I must have accidentally clicked that button. So remember, you can click the lightning bolt in your properties window, find where that is, and remove it from your properties window, and that'll remove it from the code. That'll get the code taken away.